Black. You know, Canada's new food guide is out, and we're about to break it down right now and keep you healthy and eating properly with Hélène Charlebois, who is a registered dietitian and nutrition expert with HC Nutrition Consulting and Wellness. Hello.
Hello
Good
again.
to have you back on the program.
Yes, thank you.
We have this new health guide. Now, why did they come up with a new one? It was about time?
It was about time. It was long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 15 years.
15 years.
And you know, we've changed. Where were you 15 years ago?
I don't recall.
Exactly.
10 minutes ago.
So it's almost time to start thinking about the new one if we want it out within a 10-year period, because it seems to take a long time.
Okay. It's also Nutrition Month as well, the month of March?
That's right. March is Nutrition Month in Canada and in the U.S. as well. So it's all of North America. We're trying to get people to eat better, to look at their health, preventative, healing powers of food. Mm-hmm. So yeah, March is Nutrition Month. And dietitians are available through Dietitians of Canada. Find a dietitian if you need to talk to anybody for nutrition advice.
Obviously, as a dietitian, I mean, eating properly is probably the most important thing we can do.
Yes, as a dietitian, it's always food first. Mm-hmm. So people say, well, do you recommend supplements? Do you recommend, no, it's food first. Let's look at the base, because the building blocks of your cells are about food, because food carries your nutrients. So when you're eating something that's not so nutrient dense, mm-hmm. like piece of cake, well, then you probably have to maybe have a glass of milk with that, or complement it with something that is going to be nutritious, because you really have to have the building blocks of mm-hmm. food, for sure.
So before we get into the changes, what has the reaction been like so far from the public?
So far from the public is people will say, I didn't even know we had a new food guide. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. It's been very positive because it's more visual, and there's not so much technicalities as you have to have this many portions for this age group. That is coming as a part 2 to the food guide, but that's more for policymakers, school boards, maybe retirement homes, things like that. So it's not so much for the public.
Okay, all right, let's go through the changes.
Okay.
The big changes, what's taking place here?
Well, we have a picture of the food guide right here, and they looked at having a plate. The thing I don't really like about it, they put the fruits and vegetables in one, and people don't really eat that way. Mm-hmm. So I always say, you know, half your plate vegetables and maybe the fruits on the side outside of breakfast. So you'll have all of the protein groups here amalgamated together. So before we had the dairy, and then we had the other meats and meat alternatives. Now we just have the protein groups together, and we're trying to get people to eat more in a plant-based way. Mm-hmm. Certainly plant-based proteins, certainly in plant-based fruits and vegetables, of course, and certainly in whole grains. But it doesn't mean you need to be vegetarian, mm-hmm. right? It just means we want to incorporate more plant-based proteins into a diet. For example, if you're making an omelette this morning, well, maybe open a can of chickpeas or add some lentils to it, which mm-hmm. is really good, by the way. Actually, I oatmeal to my omelet as well. So it kind of makes this. Yes. So what we're trying to do is get people to visually look at their plate. Does it look like this? If it doesn't, if you have a grain, protein, half your plate vegetables, and notice how they've actually balanced out the protein and grains much better, because we tend to eat protein, we tend to eat grains, pasta, meat sauce. Mm. So what we want to do is equalize these a little bit better. So I really like that messaging around the new food guide.
Okay.
Also about beverages.
Mm-hmm. So it's really focusing on water this time.
Yes, it's focusing on more hydration. Mm-hmm. It's focusing on less calorific, I think, and less sugary beverages. Mm-hmm. I call it the wall of beverages when I go grocery shopping or any dépannage.
Decisions, yeah.
Lots of decisions. So we're just telling, just have some water with your meals, and then if you decide, like I happen to like milk, I don't really drink so much fruit juice. Some people, you know, like pop and things like that, but that's really all artificial, all chemicals, certainly not a good building block. Mm-hmm.
Now why, just to go back a touch, why is it so plant-based? What are the benefits to plant-based eating?
Very good question. We, first of all, with the obesity epidemic, we're trying to get less calories into people. Second of all, cancer. Highest rates of cancer are growing because they're full of antioxidants, these plant-based. Mm-hmm. You have to have your fruits and vegetables and whole grain. We're looking at more fiber. That's the next big pun. So if you're going to be looking at diets coming in the future, not enough fiber in our diet. So we're looking more whole grains, more legumes, beans, peas, and lentils have a lot of fiber. So we're looking at plant-based. Right now, some of the things are very expensive. So we're looking, you know, even go to canned products, even go to, that's okay. Frozen foods, buy them when they're on special. special. We're not really advocating fresh all the time because we live in Canada and sometimes you can't get, what was it just the other day? Oh, $4.99 yesterday for celery.
Yeah, it can be a little
it
expensive to eat healthy. That's one of the other
So
problems.
it's about being flexible.
So is it difficult then? About 45 seconds left here. And is it a challenge to implement these healthy eating practices?
It's not a challenge if you look visually, and I think it's planning. People need to just plan more and prep more. I have some clients in my office at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, so what's for dinner tonight? And they go, I don't know. So when you're looking at training yourself to eat better, it's always good to plan a little bit. The other side of the food guide on the bottom here, it looks more about being more mindful when you're eating with society, eating with people. Have some fun with food. Don't just gobble it up.
Hélène Charlebois, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Helpful tips. We're eating healthy here today, no doubt about it. More daytime coming up on Rogers TV.